These 5 objects are the worst mistakes I've made trying to read books in order to improve myself. So this ball of paper is the first one. And oh, look, there it is. It says, only reading self-improvement. We as human beings learn from stories. And if I should only read self-improvement books or also throw in some fiction was a battle I had with myself for a long time. Then I finally started doing it and it's definitely worth it. Because there are some books that will touch you. Books that are really deep and you learn a lot about human nature. For example, Romain Gary's book, The Life Before Us. This is, however, the Swedish version. It says it's written by Emil Ajar because he wrote it under an alias or something. I know Fyodor Dostoevsky is a good example for this too. I haven't personally dived into his work yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Number 2, why the fuck do I have a picture of Lil Pump as my background? Because the music is trash. And what do you do when a trash song comes on? You skip it. But when you start reading a book that's trash, you finish it. Stop finishing shitty books. This one has been really hard for me because I hate not finishing what I've started. But let's be honest, some books, you get the gist pretty much right away and there's not really much more to it. And sometimes I've even started books that literally turn out to be about a completely different subject than I thought initially. And if this happens, it might be a subject that you have pretty much no use for at the moment. So don't be stubborn and finish that shitty book just because you started it. Instead, just treat it like a Lil Pump song. Have the discipline to put it aside. If you're serious about building your discipline, I have some great news for you. June 16th, I will launch a 30-day course on how to become more disciplined with multiple proven methods that will drastically change your life. If this does sound interesting to you, click the link in the description or the link in my profile and we can get on a call and talk about it. Number 3. Alright, so imagine this is a book. In here, there's a sock right now. You are this sock. And when you immerse yourself in a book, you're soaking up all the knowledge and you're learning so much. But what happens when you get out of there? When you're not reading the book? It's dripping. And if I would hold it here for a while, it would be completely dry. Because you don't manage to keep what you've soaked up in the book. You're reading without learning. We easily fall into the trap of just reading through a book and going, all right, let's go. Now I've consumed everything that was in this book. But in reality, we generally just remember a few things that really made an impression on us and we forget 95% of the book. We forget so much of what we read and there are strategies to work on this. I usually underscore things that I find valuable. And this allows me to sit down at any time after I'm done with a book and just read through the whole thing, get most of the value from the entire book in just an hour or so. Usually much less because I just read what I've underscored. Number 4, a pair of headphones. Don't miss out on audiobooks. And some people will say, but I learn better when I read, not when I listen. And honestly, I'm the same. But can you read a book when you're out for a walk? When you're doing the dishes? When you're driving your car? Please don't try that. Listening to audiobooks will allow you to read so much faster because suddenly you can read all the time. And yeah, sure, keep reading like you usually do, but just add audiobooks to that. When I know I'm gonna read a book that needs a lot of brain power and thinking, like philosophy, if I'm gonna read meditations, I'm not gonna choose to listen to it, I'm gonna read it. So yeah, read some books, but just add some audiobooks as well. You'll be able to consume many more books. And now, for the point you've all been waiting for, here we have a picture of me as a child. Because you still read like you're a child. You just read what people tell you to read, instead of actually thinking for yourself. This is so common when you want to improve yourself. You hear that you should read Think and Grow Rich or How to Win Friends and Influence People. While your biggest struggle right now is actually getting rid of some bad habit, and you should in fact be reading Atomic Habits. Or you're told to read Atomic Habits, but you're terrified of meeting new people, so you should be reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, or The Charisma Myth, or How to Talk to Anyone. Point is, stop doing what you're told when it comes to books. Everyone will recommend their favorite book. That's just because that book resonated with that person when they read it. But in fact, if you just sit down for a second and think, what do I struggle with the most right now? You can probably find a book on that subject. I'm not saying ignore all of these tips and recommendations from others. In fact, I think you should read books that are different from what you generally read. But if you have some kind of pressing issue that you should resolve as soon as possible, work on that first. If you smoke cigarettes, don't read The Millionaire Fastlane just because you want to be rich. Read Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. In conclusion, just read with a purpose, as much as you can. And of course, sometimes mix in some other stuff in order to not be narrow-minded. Read some fiction or a biography or something, or whatever it is that you think will help you in the moment. So good job for staying this long in the video. You got 1% better because of it. Watch this video to make that 2% and click here to subscribe. I do have one more thing for you if you stayed this long. If you click the link in the description, we can do a completely free Zoom call together where I'll help you grow and improve as much as possible. So I'll talk to you soon, but until then, soldier on and earn your sleep, because I will.